Hey friends, welcome back to my kitchen. We are going to be doing a recipe review today, and this is another recipe review from Chris Cooking Nashville. He has a lot of really fun, innovative recipes for carnivore and sometimes for keto, and I've just really been enjoying trying out all of his different ideas. So the recipe I'm going to be doing today is his carnivore brioche buns, and a lot of the ingredients are the same as ingredients that are in the bread recipes that I've done, the egg white breads, but used in a different way. Also, this recipe uses whole eggs, so you can use 8 whole eggs. You do have to add some egg white powder also, but it's going to be higher fat. And then there's no allulose, so for those of you that are not able to get allulose in your area, this might be a really good recipe for you to try. Also, it incorporates cream cheese, so I'm thinking it might be similar or kind of harken back to like the cloud bread recipes. I also am really excited about making this recipe today because I'm currently in the middle of an egg fast. Keto egg fasts have been around for a while, and it involves a ratio of fat or cheese to the number of eggs you eat. And this recipe actually works out perfectly for an egg fast because there's 8 eggs in the recipe, and then there's 6 fat servings in there. So you have just the right amount of fat in the recipe to allow a little bit of extra fat, like spreading some butter on top. I think it'll work out perfectly. The only 2 ingredients that are maybe questionable for an egg fast are the beef gelatin and the baking soda. And I think the beef gelatin is so minimal and it's such a benign ingredient. I don't think it would affect an egg fast, and there's gonna be so little per bun that I'm choosing not to worry about it. But if you're an egg fast purist, it might not be for you. And then I don't think baking soda would really be a problem. Again, there's gonna be only the tiniest amount in each of the buns, and I would kind of consider it in the category of spices, which is fine on an egg fast. All right, so let's go ahead and get cooking. I have the recipe all printed out from the description of his video. I've already got my oven started preheating to 450, and now I'm gonna go ahead and separate the 5 eggs. And we do have eggs from our chickens here, and they do vary in size. So when I am doing a recipe, I just try to get a variety of sizes so it all kind of evens out. So now I'm going to turn my pan on, and I'm going to be scrambling the yolks with 3 whole eggs, and I'm going to set these whites aside for later. And I'm going to add my butter to the pan to scramble the eggs in. There is an egg wash at the end, so I have 1 last egg there waiting for that. And that is a 9th egg. So I said 8 eggs, but there is an additional one for the wash at the end, but that's optional. I love egg yolks. They're so weird and beautiful. Just a quick break to chat about Element, who is the sponsor of today's video. Element is my absolute favorite electrolyte supplement. I have been supplementing with electrolytes for over a year now, and it has been a game changer for my health. Probably the biggest benefit I have noticed is that when I am consistent with supplementing with my electrolytes, I sleep through the night. Used to be that I would have to get up 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a night to go to the bathroom. And now with supplementing with electrolytes, I sleep all the way through. It is very rare that I ever wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom anymore. And that is huge. Sleep is so important, and electrolytes have been a big part of optimizing my sleep. Another thing I love about Element is that it tastes really good. And right now is grapefruit season. Their special seasonal summer flavor of grapefruit salt. It is absolutely delicious, and it does sell out fast. So if you've been wanting to try it or stock up, make sure to do it soon. If you do need to place an order with Element, make sure to use my link here on the screen or down in the description. And using that link is going to get you a free sample pack of all of their regular 8 flavors. The sample pack is a really great way to try all of their regular flavors, and so you know which ones you like best before you order an entire box. So to get this deal and the free sample pack, just use my link, drinkelement.com/indigo. That's drinklmnt.com/indigo. Place your order for anything on the site and you will get your free sample pack. Thanks again to Element for sponsoring. And now I'm just going to scramble these, not having the heat too high because you don't want them to brown, but I'm supposed to scramble them until they're dry and crumbly. All right, I'm thinking that's looking pretty dry. There's no puddles of anything, just some butter fat. As the wetness in there. My oven is preheated. And I think I'm going to call that good. So now we are going to head over to the blender. Adding in my eggs to the blender, and there is a half a teaspoon of salt in the recipe, but I didn't see where to add that, so I'm afraid I might have needed to add it when I was cooking the eggs. But I'm just gonna go ahead and add it in here in the blender with the cream cheese and vinegar and eggs. So adding the 1/2 teaspoon of salt in here, and I'm sure if I went back and watched his video I would see exactly where he put the salt in. Adding in the cream cheese and then adding in the white vinegar. Apparently this is optional but recommended. All right, we're gonna start the blender on low until well combined, and then slowly turn the speed to high to blend until smooth. All right, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to be adding half of the gelatin and half of the egg white powder. So that is, let's see, I'm going to get this going on low. And I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of the gelatin and 2 tablespoons of the egg white powder. 1, 2. And we are supposed to increase the speed until high and well combined. All right, I think we did it. Heading back over to the counter. Okay, now we're supposed to scrape this into a bowl and kind of spread it out thin so it can cool off. All right, trying to get this spread thin. The texture is like almost like frosting. It's very interesting. It doesn't smell like frosting, but that texture is really amazing. All right, now moving on to the egg white portion. We are adding our 5 reserved egg whites to the bowl of my KitchenAid. Next, adding 1 tablespoon, the other tablespoon of beef gelatin to the bowl, and the other 2 tablespoons of egg white powder to the bowl. Gonna take this over to the KitchenAid and get it whipped up until semi-stiff peaks. Gonna start on low and gradually increase the speed to high. That is looking like semi-soft peaks. So now I'm gonna add in the baking soda and then continue whipping until stiff peaks. I think these are pretty stiff, yeah, pretty stiff. Now we're gonna take about 1/3 of the egg white mixture and fold it into the egg yolk mixture. Is that about 1/3? Maybe a little more. There we go. And try to, not knock out the air, because you want to try to keep as much fluff as possible. All right, now I'm gonna add the second 2/3 and try to fold it in super gently. Okay, I'm gonna call that good and head over to my pan. I am gonna be using the silicone bun pan, so I'm gonna be making the round, like hamburger bun size. Chris shows in his video how you can pipe the batter onto a pan and you don't even need any kind of a special bun pan or anything. So that's an option if you don't want to spend the money on something like this. I'm going to use my ice cream scoop to scoop this into the bun pan. I'm not sure how many round ones this is going to make, but we shall see. All right, so I got 7, and then I'm gonna do the egg wash. I have my 1 beaten egg with a pinch of salt in here. Just gonna try to get these coated. I'm not sure if they'll spread out while cooking or not. That'll be interesting, but either way, I think they're gonna be a nice shape. The ice cream scoop helps with that for sure. All ready to throw in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. All right, check these out. They look so good. I have my butter mitt on because there's plenty of butter in these. They look really nice. I am going to let them cool a little bit and then we will do a taste test. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out of the pan to let them cool on the wire rack for a little while. I just realized I didn't spray my pan. I usually do. I don't know why that slipped my mind, but thankfully, at least that first one is coming out real nicely, so shouldn't be too much of a concern. They are still a little bit warm, but I thought that would make a good taste test. I'm gonna go ahead and slice it down the middle here. We'll see what the inside looks like. It looks a little eggy, but you can see there's some bubbles in here. It's always a delicate balance between mixing in the whites completely and, you know, not losing all the air. So I wonder if I didn't mix it quite as much as I should have. And you can see the color kind of changing a little bit. It's just the iron in the eggs. You know, it's just like you get the ring around the boiled egg yolks. That's all that is. All right, gonna give this a taste test. The flavor is really good. All that butter in there and the cream cheese, I think, really adds the flavor. The texture, it's not bad. It's more wet than some of the egg white breads, and with, you know, so many yolks in there, there's a little bit more egginess to it than just straight egg white bread, but the flavor is really good. It doesn't taste like overly eggy. It's more the texture that feels a little bit more eggy, but it doesn't have like a really strong eggy flavor. The flavor is actually, I think the vinegar and the baking soda and the butter, they all combine to kind of to get rid of that eggy flavor. That's my guess, at least, because it really doesn't have an eggy flavor. It's just that texture that's a little bit more on the eggy side. But it's really good. It's a very different type of texture than egg white bread. And egg white bread has its very specific texture, and it doesn't work for all applications. It really doesn't work for something like a really dense biscuit, because as soon as you get a really dense texture with the egg white bread, it's just too dry. It just doesn't work. So you want something a little bit different for something like a biscuit. And like this reminds me more of something more dense, like a biscuit. It's not exactly like a biscuit. I'm struggling finding the words to describe it exactly. But I could see it working as like a biscuits and gravy substitute for, you know, the biscuits. Dump a bunch of gravy on this. It would be really good. Chris, you got to work on some sausage gravy. I know I saw you had a recipe for carnivore gravy. Throw some sausage in there. I bet it would be fantastic on these. The flavor is reminding me of something, and I can't really put my finger on it, but it's something biscuity. I think it's the butter in there. And I do think that the vinegar and the baking soda add some like hints of flavor. And the flavor is fantastic. I really, really like the flavor. I'm gonna cut another one of these the other way so we can look at the texture in here. And you can see I'm still getting that, the gray in there. Doesn't make it taste bad. It just looks funny. But you can see there's some nice bubbles in there. I love the bright yellow color with all of those egg yolks in there. And I love that you can use the whole eggs. You don't have a whole ton of yolks left over. You don't have a bunch of whites left over. That just makes it a little bit more convenient. I will have a link down in the description for Chris's video, so you can go get the entire recipe there. He has it in the description of his video. If you are carnivore, or if you cannot do the allulose in the other egg white breads, I highly recommend checking out this recipe. I am super impressed that he kept all of the ingredients carnivore, aside from like the baking soda and vinegar, but a lot of carnivores allow for that kind of thing. So I'm just super impressed that he came up with this and was able to maintain the carnivore label. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again in the next one.